made it out this world, cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Mr. Wilson would've known. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world, cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Mr. Wilson would've known. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world, cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Mr. Wilson would've known. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness.
Crazy. What is going on, everybody? You know what it is. It's Wednesday night, and it is World History According to the Bible, presented to you by True Nation Israelite Congregation. If you don't know, my name is Aman Allah. Tonight we have a special reader, which you'll be seeing more often, son of the Bishop Banaya.
I'm Natazak.
That's Natazak. And we got his mom in the audience, Shawashan, over here, as well as brother Kabash and his kids. So it should be a little bit more interesting reading these scriptures, getting these reactions a little bit. But, you know, we're going to stay on track regardless. So, without getting too much into any spiels or anything, the book of Judges, this is part 2. We last left off numerically in chapter, not this chapter, chapter 11, 12, dealing with the last judge we talked about, Jephthah. Jephthah, the son of, not Gideon, excuse me, that was Abimelech. Jephthah, he was just a judge, you know, and he was at first ousted from his family from being, you know, an outcast due to his, you know, cultural lineage and everything like that. But as we briefly read through that, we've seen that Jephthah was more than capable to be raised up and used by the Heavenly Father to be a judge unto the people. And he did that. And he did go to war with the Ammonites and won. So now, right after the war, right after he picked up from the war and, you know, just getting back, you know, to home base, he encounters a tribe I had mentioned last time, the Ephraimites. Now, this is not the first time the Ephraimites acted and operated like this. They are a tribe of our people that love to engage in battle. And when they weren't hit up, they got in their feelings and felt a type of way and were angry enough to go to war with their own brethren. This is actually how it went down. You go to the book of Judges, chapter 12, and read from verse 1, right after the war.
Judges chapter 12, verse 1. And the men of Ephraim gathered themselves together and went northward, and said unto Jephthah, Wherefore passedst thou over to fight against the children of Ammon, and didst not call us to go with thee? We will burn thine house upon thee with fire.
Straight up, they said, we're going to burn your house down, your house, Jephthah, your personal house, with fire. So again, I just want to remind you guys that this is not the first time that the Ephraimites reacted in this way. I just want to remind you guys with this real quick. Let me find the scripture. You can go to Judges chapter 8 and verse 1, just to give you the reminder. Then we're going to, kind of just break down into that spirit and that mentality and what you should not operate like. 8 and 1.
Judges chapter 8, verse 1. And the men of Ephraim said unto him, Why hast thou served us thus, that thou calledst us not, when thou wentest to fight with the Midianites? And they did chide with him sharply.
So at this time, this was the Ephraimites speaking about the judge Gideon. And this situation actually went a lot more peaceably because Gideon had some wisdom in his words with them, to where he pacified the Ephraimites. And they're like, okay, that's fine. But in this instance, Jephthah, who was noted to be a mighty man of valor, that's a Gibborim. That means he was built from youth up to be a warrior. This particular man, a mighty man of valor, arguing and speaking with a tribe of valor, obviously, fire and fire makes a bigger fire. And, they basically messed with the wrong one, and even Jephthah got himself with the wrong one. And they actually started an actual whole battle. You can go back to chapter 12, and you can pick up from verse 2.
Verse 2. And Jephthah said unto them, I and my people were at great strife with the children of Ammon, and when I called you, ye delivered me not out of their hands. Verse 3. And when I saw that ye delivered me not, I put my life in my hands, and passed over against the children of Ammon, and the Lord delivered them into my hand. Wherefore then are ye come up unto me this day to fight against me?
So Jephthah took a different approach than Gideon. He said, "What? I'm a strong man. Like, why are y'all trying to come up to me?" And in his right too, because he was chosen to be a judge of Israel, and he's just a mighty man of valor. All these different judges had different personality types, but the Most High utilized them the way they needed to be. But in Jephthah's, we could say his era, he didn't use the same wisdom with the turbulence of the Ephraimites that Gideon did. Read on.
Verse 4. Then Jephthah gathered together all the men of Gilead, and fought with Ephraim. And the men of Gilead smote Ephraim, because they said, Ye Gileadites are fugitives of Ephraim among the Ephraimites and among the Massonites.
Just an excuse basically to go to war based off of their own angry spirit. And I'm gonna get that spirit for you guys in a minute in the book of Sirach. But continue that on, Natazat.
And the Gileadites took the passages of Jordan before the Ephraimites. And it was so that when the Ephraimites, which were escaped, said, Let me go over, that the men of Gilead said unto him, Art thou an Ephraimite? If he said, Nay.
So just pause real quick. So Jephthah and his crew, they were winning that war. They won that battle. So in this particular region of that battle, there was pretty much a passageway, a way of travel pretty much. And you had Jephthah and his army basically on security, on patrol, and guarding these places. And mind you, this is the understanding. These are all Israelites. So other than, regional customs and culture, we as a people generally, we all look the same, act the same, and operate the same. There are little kinks here and there to where, like, okay, you a little bit like this, but you still my people, and this is what the situation was right here about to come up. It was through language. So even in our own language and speak, Israel has so much diversity and salt and even color within the confines of our people, within the confines of our own law system. There's still differences that if we didn't have a constitution, we would damn near be so tribal and fight against each other with. But the goal is to maintain that constitution and maintain that knowing, even though we're different tribes, we got different occupations, and even stay in different regions and different customs, we're the same people. Pick up off of that and read that.
Verse 6, Then said they unto him, Say now, Shibboleth. And he said Shibboleth, for he could not frame to pronounce it right.
Let me read that over for you guys. So the young brother said, Jephthah's crew told him to say Shibboleth, because they're speaking the way they speak. But when they said Shibboleth, they said Sibboleth. So they had a dialect, and that's no different than people in LA talking different than people in New York, than people that talk different in New Orleans and the South and all that. We all speak in the same language generally, but there'd be some mixing and matching put up in there. So that's what a dialect is within just a given language. Not even to consider that all the languages in the world, before the Most High scattered them, came from one, psyche as well too. So again, just emphasizing the color that the children of Israel have within our culture. But this particular Ephraimite trying to get through, the patrol of the Gileadites from Jephthah, he, as you're going to find out, didn't pass this particular test. His dialect or his lingo, his slang was not correct, and that actually got him put to death. Read on.
Then they took him and slew him at the passages of Jordan. And there fell at that time of the Ephraimites 42,000.
So, and Ephraim's second attempt to be warmongers and war hungry, this time they didn't meet a very well end. And it said, how many of them died? Read that again.
And there fell at that time of the Ephraimites 42,000.
42,000. That's 4,2,000. That's a lot. That's a big number. That's a big number of Ephraimites that, due to their anger, I'm gonna get the scripture of Sirach for you guys. This is how you don't want to be like. I'm gonna get a couple of them for you too. You go to the book of Sirach. I want you to read first when you get it. Should we read this one or should we read that one? We're gonna read this one. Read Sirach 1 and 22, and we're going to kind of fire through a couple of these, just so you guys can understand why we're not supposed to be like this. It's not a fruit of the Spirit. It's one of the works of the flesh, actually.
Sirach chapter 1, verse 22. A furious man cannot be justified, for the sway of his fury shall be his destruction.
Just like these Ephraimites, when they went against the judge of the whole nation of Israel, their fury and not being put into war, was their downfall and their destruction. Go to Sirach. Go to Sirach 8 and 1. And this is more so applying to Jephthah, because again, it says when he was a mighty man, a Geborim, this applies to these type of people that exist with us. There are people that are just born and built different, than the rest of us, even within our nation. Some people are strong, some people are smart, and some people are built for everything else.
Sirach chapter 8, verse 1. Strive not with the mighty man, lest thou fall into his hands.
Whole tribe of Ephraim fell into Jephthah's hands at that point. Sirach 10 and 18.
Sirach 10, verse 18. Pride was not made for men, nor fierce anger for them that are born of a woman.
So the scriptures let you know that pride and the anger that comes with this pride, which was what the tribe of Ephraim had, it's not meant for you. You shouldn't, the whole tribe had no business being angry for not being called upon to go to war. They could have just accepted it as, it is what it is. We don't need to stress over. We're doing what we got to do with operations over here. We don't need, because with war comes glory, and with glory comes pride. So the root, obviously, of all sin, as the scriptures say, is pride. So pride was definitely there. It was just expressed in a form of disrespect or received as disrespect on behalf of the tribe of the Ephraimites. But the Most High is saying, in his wisdom, don't act like that. Just because you didn't get invited to such and such and such and such to glory in for the Most High doesn't mean that you should be angry with your own brethren and your people just because you weren't in that group chat. You didn't get invited out to such and such. Be content, because again, the book of Ephesians, or was it Galatians, says that the works of the flesh are so and so and so and so, hatred, variance and wrath. So Paul in the New Testament sums it up for you. This history sums it up for you, and even the wisdom of Sirach sums it up for you. Don't be angry without reason. And this was definitely an unreasonable reason for the Ephraimites to act like this. And they got dealt with too by the Most High's chosen, his anointed, which was Jephthah at that time. So let's read on. So that was, you read verse 7 in chapter 12. So that's basically the end of Jephthah's judgment, or judges judging at that time.
Judges chapter 12, verse 7. And Jephthah judged Israel 6 years. Then died Jephthah the Gileadite, and was buried in one of the cities of Gilead.
You read on.
And after him, Ibzan of Bethlehem judged Israel. And he had 30 sons and 30 daughters, whom he sent abroad, and took in 30 daughters from abroad for his sons. And he judged Israel 7 years.
You could jump to verse 11 and then verse 13.
Verse 11. And after him, Elon, a Zebulunite, judged Israel, and he judged Israel 10 years. And after him, Abdon, the son of Hillel, a Pirathonite, judged Israel.
So these particular judges, these three after, they don't really have any highlights that the Bible writes about. Maybe their time was more of a time of peace. There was not too many problems or issues, but they did judge, and they were honorably mentioned in this book. We just don't know the details of it. But from those three, now we move on to another notable, due to his just his life in general. Samson is about to come up, and this is the origin, basically, of how Samson came to be. In chapter 13, which we're going to read a couple verses briefly, just for time's sake. Samson has, obviously, parents. He has his father, Manoah, and then his father, Zorah, and his, I'm sorry. His father was Manoah, and then his wife. I don't think his wife is mentioned by name. But you can read chapter 13 and read from verse 1 and 2.
Judges 13, verse 1. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years.
So in this captivity, it's the Philistines. The Philistines were against us at this point in time before Samson got raised up. Read verse 2.
And there was a certain man of Zorah, of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and bare not. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman, and said unto her, Behold now, thou art barren and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive and bear a son.
Okay, so let me break it down for you. So basically, an angel of the Lord comes to Manoah's household and his family, and before he's born, Samson is born. They're letting him know, okay, look, you're going to have a son, and he's going to be anointed by the Most High. He's going to be a judge, and he's going to deliver Israel, since y'all been in the Philistines' captivity for, 40 years or going on 40 years. But he's going to need to have special requirements. This son, he can't drink wine, he can't have any grapes, and he can never, have a razor to his head. And these are all things that are the vow of the Nazarite. It's a specific holiness, is a specific sanctification that our people would go through to essentially make themselves uniquely closer to the Most High. No different than fasting does, no different than prayer does, no different than, righteous sacrifices do. This is one of the ways that, you would dedicate yourself to the Most High through your actions, and he would be with you. And that's what Samson was from birth. So you can only imagine if someone started that at 20, 18, or 40, and the spiritual aptitude that they give it that, to have that being gone from birth. And that's why Samson is going to be noticed for his feats that he does that we're going to learn about briefly. So I want you to read 4 and 5 just to prove the scriptures about the Nazirite stipulations.
Verse 4. Now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine, nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing. For lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head. For the child shall be a Nazirite unto God from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines.
So again, in the book of the law, the Torah, you can find out where that Nazirite vow is. I believe it's either in Numbers or Deuteronomy. But you guys can look for that law. It's in there, but it's also right here too. And these are all the stipulations. So getting back to the history, that's expressed to Manoah and his household. They have, a little bit of, like most of our people, we tend to have a little bit of doubt and we want more confirmation. So the angel appears again unto Manoah's household and tells him the same thing that he told his wife the first time. Do this. This is how your child is going to be. And, this is how it's going to go down. And he's going to be a savior for Israel, in the next couple of years. So when that finally gets done, I like to bring out these moments because these moments happen still today. People still encounter angels of the Lord. So if you do, you might experience the same way. Same chapter 13, and you can read from verse 17.
Verse 17. And Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, What is thy name? That when thy sayings come to pass, we may do thee honor. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, Why askest thou thus after my name, seeing it is secret?
You can jump to verse 20.
Verse 20. For it come to pass, when the flame went up toward heaven from off the altar, that the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame of the altar. And Manoah and his wife looked on it, and fell on their faces to the ground.
So at first they didn't know that this messenger was an angel of the Lord. But what he did to basically prove that was once they made their sacrifices, which he specifically said, if you're going to make any type of offerings, don't, do it for me for hospitality. Make the offering to the Most High God, Yahweh. And you don't need to know my name because I'm just a servant. I'm just a messenger. I'm just trying to give the word of the Lord. And then the way he exits supernaturally in the altar of fire with the sacrifice, he literally, the best word to explain it is he disintegrates or he disappears through that flame and then enters the heavenly realm. And that's when they realize, oh my goodness, we've been speaking to an angel of the Lord this whole time. And every time our people realize that, it says they fell to their face, but they got really scared. And our people really get to the point where like, man, if we seen an angel of the Most High, we're gonna die. That's been noted in scriptures multiple times. At least either the husband or the wife when they meet him. But one or the other always says like, look, if we were gonna die, the Most High would already killed us. This is just a blessing in this instance. So that was their reaction with an angel of the Lord. I know it still happens and has happened throughout the generations till this day. So be on the lookout. Even in the New Testament it says, be careful that, you entertain strangers because you may be entertaining angels unaware. This is how it happens, So make sure your hospitality and your courtesy game is up because you don't know who the Most High is sending your way to test you or, to basically test you, So stay on point. Stay on point with your righteousness. You never know. Moving on, though. So Samson is basically born at this point. Chapter 14. And you can read from verse 1. Chapter 14 and verse 1.
Judges chapter 14, verse 1. And Samson went down to Timnath and saw a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines.
So Samson is an Israelite. The Philistines are put us in captivity, and Samson sees a daughter of the Philistines. So Israelite custom and tradition is we marry within our own people. Yeah, we have instances where concubines are there, but generally speaking, like as an Israelite man and even as an Israelite woman to seek like someone that's husband or wife material, you would seek somebody that's within your nation. When you're just kind of looking for a handmaid or a concubine or a servant, that's when, you know, the law would used to permit us going out to the other nations and such like that. But Samson is not operating like that. Samson is actually, he's fallen in deep in love with this Philistine girl, and his parents are kind of just like, what are you doing, man? But the Most High has a plan in store. You can read from verse 2.
Verse 2. And he came up and told his father and his mother, and said, I have seen a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. Now therefore get her for me to wife. Then his father and his mother said unto him, Is there never a woman among the daughters of thy brother, or among all my people, that thou goest to take a wife of the uncircumcised Philistines? And Samson said unto his father, Get her for me, for she pleaseth me well. But his father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord, that he sought an occasion against the Philistines, for at that time the Philistines had dominion over Israel.
So it's crazy because when you read the book of Judges, this is a book that was written by a prophet. I believe it might have been Samuel, actually, but don't quote me on that. But this book is written by a prophet. So the way that the prophet is writing this book, he sees from the eyes and the perspective of the Most High better than, we'll call them the actors, our forefathers, as they were living back then. So at the time, unbeknownst to Samson and unbeknownst to Samson's parents, which is in their custom and culture, they weren't realizing that Samson's desire for this Philistine woman was actually being orchestrated, you know, like the not master manipulator, like the master chess player that the Most High is. He's using Samson's desire for this woman to seek an occasion, which is basically to oust the Philistines from being our captives, pretty much, you know, not our captives, but us being in captive to the Philistines. That was the Most High's oversight. But again, these things aren't known specifically in the moment. We just live and play them out, which comes back to even us. Every day that we're living and, you know, our lives, the Most High is ultimately playing out our steps. And there's actually a scripture in the book of Proverbs that says, a man, you know, plans his way, but it's the Most High that directs his steps. This is the perfect instance with Samson and his story about the Most High's overseeing supervision over our lives. So that's going on with that in that scripture. So Samson is now on his way. He's about to take the Philistine woman and wife her. And along the way, and as we're going to see, Samson, essentially he sins. He goes against, for one, his Nazirite vow. He finds a young lion, and with his strength, because he's a Nazirite, he actually is able to, with his bare hands, rip apart that lion. He kills that lion. But in his going back and forth with the Philistine woman, he sees the lion that he killed a little while back, and there's honey in it. And Samson, just being forward, he goes and puts his hand in that lion and eats that honey from a dead carcass. That's unclean. We're not supposed to consume anything that's unclean. A lion, dead lion, both, you got 2 strikes. A lion is an unclean animal, it's dead, and you're eating honey from it. So Samson, this is the beginning of, although Samson is a judge, the beginning of seeing that he wasn't a perfect man. He kept making these mistakes. And these mistakes ultimately, these mistakes that he makes throughout his journey as being a judge lead to the reason why he went out the way he went out. But we're going to get there in a moment. You can read verse 9 in chapter 14.
Verse 9. And he took thereof in his hands, and went on eating
the honey from the lion's carcass,
and came to his father and mother, and he gave them, and they did eat. But he told not them that he had taken the honey out of the carcass of the lion.
So he's ultimately, essentially, even defiling his own mother and father. Now, the Most High hasn't really revealed to me why that was the case, but in due time, in due season, I'm pretty sure that understanding for myself will come, if not somebody telling me later on. But that's what he does. That's literally what Samson does, and that's kind of like offense number 1, as we're going to see. Okay, so to summarize briefly, so after he does that instance, his father makes a feast. His father makes a feast for the marriage. And in that marriage, there's people from the other nations, the Philistines, that are there too. So they're basically, kind of test the waters. And Samson's like, okay, look, let's have a fun, I guess, bridal or marriage game. If you can figure out my riddle that I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna make you, I'm gonna give you this amount of wealth and everything like that. But if you can't figure it out, you got to give me the wealth. So he gives these Philistines, which are basically his wife's side of the family, that are there at the marriage union thing, and they're trying to figure out what it was. And I'll let you guys read this right now. Read verse 15 and 16.
Verse 15. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they said unto Samson's wife, Entice thy husband, that he may declare unto us the riddle, lest we burn thee and thy father's house with fire. Have ye called us to take that we have? Is it not so? And Samson's wife wept before him and said, Thou doest but hate me, and lovest me not. Thou hast put forth the riddle unto the children of my people, and hast not told it me. And he said unto her, Behold, I have not told it my father, nor my mother, and shall I tell it thee?
You can hold on right there. So basically, this won't be the first time, but Samson's Philistine wife is pressing it upon him because the Philistines of her people are saying, "Hey, tell us, get the answer for the riddle, because we don't know how to answer this, and we don't want to pay this man, this expensive amount. So you press your husband, use your feminine and your womanly charm to basically get it out of him. Do what you do best. That's how y'all operate." And the Book of Sirach goes all into the how could I call it? The Book of Sirach goes all into, the power, there you go, the power that women have, especially in a marriage relationship. And that's what Samson was experiencing. So eventually Samson's like, he tells her. Samson, he gives in, and that's, another point of offense that Samson goes into, because the Book of Proverbs says, give not thy strength unto women. This is another issue that, eventually Samson did have. And she used it against him. And it wouldn't be the first time either. She gets the information from him by, pestering and annoying him, grieving his heart. And she tells those Philistines that they were supposed to tell the riddle. It was 7 days. And finally, on the last day, they're like, oh, yeah, this is what it is. Is it not, the honey from a lion's carcass? And Samson's like, how the heck did you know that? Like, you're not supposed to figure out this riddle. This riddle was damn near not a universal thing. This was private and personal. So he's like, you must have spoke to my wife, because my wife was the only one that I told. So he gets angry, is realizing the realization, and he actually goes, through the Spirit of the Most High coming upon him, he goes down to one of the Philistine cities and kills how many people? He kills like 30 people to get, I'm going to let y'all read it. I'm going to let y'all listen to it from the scriptures. Read verse 18 through 20. And you could speak up a little bit.
Verse 18. And the men of the city said unto him on the 7th day before the sun went down, What is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion? And he said unto them, If ye had not plowed with my heifer, ye had not found out my riddle. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon, and slew 30 men of them, and took their spoil, and gave change of garments unto them, which expounded the riddle. And his anger was kindled, and he went up to his father's house. But Samson's wife was given to his companion, whom he had used as his friend.
So Samson goes and gets the goods. He gets the treasures, essentially, to pay, because Samson is at least attempting to be a man of his word. He does pay the Philistine cousins that he has now. But he kills Philistines to do it. So at the same time, the Most High is still doing what he's going to do to make that occasion against them. But in the process of doing that, Samson's so mad and so angry at his wife that he leaves her with the Philistines and goes back to his father's house. And in the process of doing that, it's crazy because this is why Abraham operated the way he operated in the book of Genesis. He's like, man, I know within this city they don't have a fear of God. And the fear of God is keeping his commandments. So this Philistine father that Samson married his daughter to, he basically gives her to Samson's friend, which was a Philistine. So he commits adultery. The father allows that daughter, a Philistine woman, to commit adultery while Samson is angry and gone back at his parents' house. And this, again, that's why Abraham said, I know there's no fear of God here. They don't know how to operate and do customs and culture correct according to like how we do it. We don't do that adultery stuff. And which is why Abraham did what he did with his with Sarah, you know, making her be his sister for that brief moment. But again, that's what we expect. That's the only thing to really expect with these other nations, whether they're not governed by us or the Most High. So that's what happened. Chapter 15. You can read from verse 1 and 2.
Judges chapter 15, verse 1. But it came to pass within a while after, in the time of wheat harvest, that Samson visited his wife with a kid. And he said, I will go in to my wife into the chamber. But her father would not suffer him to go in. And her father said, I verily thought that thou hadst utterly hated her. Therefore I gave her to thy companion. Is not her younger sister fairer than she? Take her, I pray thee, instead of her.
So now Samson gets off from his, I guess his angry spell, and he's like, I'm going to go visit my wife. I'm going to go make it up to her because it wasn't that bad, that she, dig the riddle out of me and I had to pay these men. So it's all good. But then he comes to find out the father gave her away. And now Samson's like, I know the law. That's unrighteous. So now he's angry. And he basically, this is what he does. He goes and his not revenge, because this is the vengeance of the Most High. The Spirit of the Lord always comes upon this man and does these war feats. It's not really Samson's own decisions most of the time. But what he does this time now, he goes into a field, I'm pretty sure, a big major plantation field that the Philistines was getting bread and money off of, farming and stuff. And he sets 2 foxes on fire to go run through the field. So he's on some, I don't even know what you would call that kind of military tactic, but I know there's a word for it, but I don't know what to call it. But he goes on some guerrilla warfare, basically. So guerrilla warfare, military tactics to go burn their supplies. And that is a military tactic. That is a war tactic. When you burn your enemies' rations and supplies, they can't eat, they get frail, they die out. That's definitely part of the game. That's part of that game. So Samson was definitely utilizing the Most High being a man of war aspect in that aspect. So that's what he did with these particular Philistines and for that action that they took. So now you can go to, say in that chapter, read from verse 9.
Chapter 15.
Yep, same chapter, verse 15, verse 9. So the Philistines, when they find this out, that they destroyed like a big portion of like their industrial sector, they gather a whole army to go find Samson. And this actually annoys the rest of the children of Israel. My bad, you can read on.
Judges chapter 15, verse 9. Then the Philistines went up and pitched in Judah and spread themselves in Lehi. And the men of Judah said, Why are ye come up against us? And they answered, To bind Samson are we come up, to do to him as he hath done to us.
So now, just to summarize it for you guys, now as Samson is being hunted down by the Philistines are first coming to the tribe of Judah, and Judah's like, what's up? What's going on? They're like, we're looking for a man. His name is Samson. He's a Danite. Have you seen him? And they're like, nah, he's not among us. This is our tribal and territory. The Danites are like over there up north. So the Philistine army is going and passing through, and eventually the Judites are like, dang, man, what's going on? Like, we was kind of cool, but now the Philistines are all riled up. They're kind of punking us now. So they go themselves. The tribe of Judah, a select amount of men, they go to find Samson themselves, and they find that Samson is like up pitched on top of like some hill and everything, and they're like looking up at him, and Samson's now looking down at them, and they're like, hey, Samson, you need to come down here, bro. Like, you're messing up our situation with the Philistines. Don't you know that the Philistines are our oppressors? Crazy enough. And Samson's like, yeah, I do know that, but guess what? As they did to me, I did to them. And that's exactly what, crazy enough, the Philistines told the tribe of Judah. They're like, hey, as Samson did to us, we're about to do to him. So you can get out the way if you want or if you need to. So in this instance, the tribe of Judah is kind of like, look, we want to just kind of keep the peace, so we're going to turn you in, Samson. Like, this is your fault. This is your doing. And Samson's like, look, y'all can turn me in, but just promise that y'all are not going to be the ones to kill me. Make sure it's not y'all that kill me. Let them handle their dirty business. And the tribe of Judah is like, that's fine. That's cool. We're not going to, kill you, our brother, but you got to get turned in because you're ruining everything for the rest of us. We're kind of trying to get by, and you're just ruining stuff. So that was the conversation between Judah and Samson. You can read from verse 12 and down.
Verse 12, and they said unto him, we are come down to bind thee, that we may deliver thee into the hand of the Philistines. And Samson said unto them, swear unto me that you will not fall upon me yourselves. And they spake unto him, saying, no, but we will bind thee fast, and deliver thee into their hand. But surely we will not kill thee. And they bound him with 2 new cords, and brought him up from the rock.
So he's delivered to the Philistines now, and as soon as he gets to the Philistines, look what he finds. He finds a skeleton. You can read verse 15.
Verse 15, and he found a new jawbone of an ass, and put forth his hand, and took it, and slew 1,000 men therewith.
Man, so what happened was, as soon as he got delivered, he was bound up, right? And the Philistines were just about to take him in, and then the Spirit of the Lord comes upon this man, and he breaks the bands, which I'm pretty sure was nothing like no leaves. They were pretty strong rope, I'm sure. He breaks that and finds the jawbone of a donkey and slays, basically with his bare hand and an object, 1,000 Philistines. 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone of a donkey. Just martial arting it. You can only imagine. That was this man's power that the Most High gave him, and he won that battle. You can read verse 16.
Verse 16, and Samson said, with the jawbone of an ass, heaps unto heaps, with the jaw of an ass have I slain 1,000 men.
And that's a miracle in itself. Read on.
And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking, that he cast away the jawbone out of his hand, and called that place Ramoth Lehi.
And then just to make it even more miraculous, this man Samson says right after that battle, man, I'm thirsty as heck. I'm about to die. Most High, please, give me something to drink. And you know what the Most High does? That same jawbone that he used to kill 1,000 men, the Most High, however he does it, that's the Most High for you, he basically puts a fissure in that jawbone, and water gushes out of it. And that's the water that Samson drinks. These are miracles, y'all. These are glitches in the matrix, however you want to call it. This is the power of the Most High to do what he needs to do and what he wants to do at will with whatever he wants. He can mix and scramble stuff up if he needs to be at will. Read that. Verse 19.
Verse 19, but God clave an hollow place that was in the jaw, and there came water thereout, and when he had drunk, his spirit came again, and he revived. Wherefore he called the name thereof En-Hakkore, which is in Lehi unto this day. And he judged Israel in the days of the Philistines 20 years.
So that was, amazing, miraculous feat. Chapter 16, verse 1. Another mistake that Samson made leading to his demise, or the way that he was taken out, essentially. You can read verse 1.
Judges chapter 16 verse 1. Then went Samson to Gaza, and saw there an harlot, and went in unto her. And it was told the Gazites, saying, Samson is come hither. And they compassed him in, and laid wait for him all night in the gate of the city, and were quiet all the night, saying, in the morning, when it was day, we shall kill him.
So Samson, having a lover's issue, he actually finds a harlot and he sleeps with her. We know that's sin. That's not something that we're supposed to do as a people, but Samson is out here, I won't say taking advantage of his role, but Samson is living just like the rest of the Israelites in the book of Judges, doing things according to their own eyes until, of course, the Spirit of the Most High falls upon him. But in doing that, now the Philistines have devised another plan. They said, hey, go get this man a wife, because clearly he likes the things that come with marriage. So go get him a wife, and then, let her love on him and all that. But then when they finally seal the deal, get her to tell him his secrets, which is, where does he get his strength from? And eventually, he does tell her through like a process of like 3 or 4 lies. He's like, oh, my strength comes from this, and that was wrong. My strength comes from this, and that was wrong. Okay, my strength comes from this, and that was wrong. And she's pressing on him like, Samson, if you really loved me, you would tell me the truth and everything like that, just like his former wife, with the riddle. And eventually, he's like, all right, my strength comes from the locks of my hair. And then in this instance, like every other instance, she finds that out. She actually cuts the locks, and then she says, the Philistines be upon you, Samson. She does this 4 times until Samson tells her what the actual truth is, and he's not getting it. And he's literally like sleeping in her lap, in her thigh, when they come and get her. But at this time, the 4th time, he couldn't do nothing about it. They actually took him in, they put out his eyes, and they had him chained up and took him to like the White House of the Philistine, how would I say, colony, the White House of the Philistine colony, where like all the big people and all the big names are. And again, I'm briefly summarizing this so that we can kind of get through this for time's sake. But you could definitely read that in detail for yourself in chapter 16. And we're going to pick up back right here at in chapter 17. No, excuse me, the end of chapter 16. Let's read from verse 21.
Judges chapter 16, verse 21. But the Philistines took him, and put out his eyes, and brought him down to Gaza, and bound him with the fetters of brass, and he did grind in the prison house. Howbeit in the hair of his head began to grow again after he was shaven. Then the lords of the Philistines gathered them together for to offer a great sacrifice unto Dagon, their god, and to rejoice. For they said, our God hath delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hand.
Jump to verse 26.
Verse 26. And Samson said unto the lad that held him by the hand, suffer me that I may feel the pillars whereupon the house standeth, that I may lean upon them. Now the house was full of men and women, and all the lords of the Philistines were there. And there were upon the roof about 3,000 men and women, that behold while Samson made sport. And Samson called unto the Lord and said, O Lord God, remember me, I pray thee, and strengthen me. I pray thee only this once, O God, that I may be at once avenged of the Philistines for my 2 eyes. And Samson took hold of the 2 middle pillars upon which the house stood, and on which it was borne up, of the one with his right hand, and of the other with his left. Mm-hmm. And Samson said, let me die with the Philistines. And he bowed himself with all his might, and the house fell upon the lords, and upon all the people that were therein. So the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life. Then his brethren and all the house of his father came down and took him and brought him up and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol in the burying place of Manoah his father. And he judged Israel 20 years.
So that was Samson's judgment and demise, and the way it had to go down like that was because Samson was steady making mistakes throughout his period as a judge. So although the Most High used him, we know what the scriptures say in the New Testament, even that, like, you know, the wages of sin is death. So although Samson is predestined to die like any other man, the way in which he died like this, although glorious in a sense, because he took out a lot more than you know, putting himself in that circumstance, but he had to be put to death like that because he kept making those same mistakes. So that was, you know, people can either have a violent, turbulent death or a peaceful death. And for Samson's sense, it was glorious for sure for the Most High, but if he didn't make the mistakes that he did make, it could have turned out a little bit different. You know, some of the other judges died in more peaceable ways, but Samson definitely had. Samson definitely went out with, you know, that flame and that fire, and he's noted and accounted for every detail in this book, and that's his judgment, you know, or that's his judging in this particular book. So now we move on to the last portion of the book of Judges, before the main war with the Benjamites. It actually begins with a Levite within the tribal area of Ephraim. I want you to read chapter 17. I want you to read chapter 17 and verse 5.
Judges chapter 17, verse 5. And the man Micah had an house of gods, and made an ephod and teraphim, and consecrated one of his sons, who became his priest.
So in this particular region within Mount Ephraim, a man named Micah, he's just a regular, you know, ordinary guy. But what he does is, instead of going to the designated place, the tabernacle, you know, to worship and praise the Most High, and to, you know, have the service done with his or the Most High's priests, the Levites, he decides to make his own dwelling into a temple. And within that temple, it says that he has all these holy, not holy, but all these spiritual divination, even relics. It mentions an ephod, which the Most High told our people to make way back then, you know, 2 books ago in the Exodus. So they made that, which they shouldn't have done, this man. Which is the vest, and then they had a teraphim, which is basically an idol, it's crazy when we look into that information. That's similar to the modern day smartphones that we have today. They have the idols, it has some type of spiritual connection to it, and people would have dreams and stuff like that, and that's why the book of Sirach says, you know, beware of dreams, because they're not all sent from the Most High. They could be sent from devils and other evil beings and stuff like that. So this man had his whole household like that, and then on top of all that, he made a non-Levite a priest, his son, I believe. Yep, he consecrated his own son to be a priest. So he's out here basically a priest for hire, essentially, you know, within his own household. So with that being said, this man Micah actually runs into a real Levite that's in travel. So then he hires the actual Levite to do those services instead of his son. So they, you know, having the time of their lives, you know, in sin, essentially, doing what they do. And then they run into a tribe of strong men from the tribe of Dan. You can read chapter 18 and verse 1.
Judges chapter 18, verse 1. In those days there was no king in Israel, and in those days the tribe of the Danites sought them an inheritance to dwell in. For unto that day all their inheritance had not fallen unto them among the tribes of Israel.
So definitely read this for you guys selves, but I'm going to summarize and brief it down for you guys. So in the process of, you know, Micah and his own Levite, you know, doing their own thing, these Levites, these Danites are still looking for more land inheritance. And that's actually the reason why, in the book of Revelations, they didn't even have a tribal gate because they left the inheritance of Israel, just searching and searching for more and more land. So in their search, they stumble upon Micah and his whole house of the teraphim and his gods, his idols, and the Levite. And they basically what they do is they take all that. And in their search, because if you didn't know, reading throughout the scripture and the history, the Danites were probably one of the most regionally idolatrous parts of the northern kingdom or the 10 tribes of Israel. And again, that all goes into the judgment that's given to them in the book of Revelations. But they go and find and take Micah's household items and his Levite, and he's like, "What are you doing? You guys like why are you guys taking my connection to the Most High?" And the Danites are pretty much like, "Hey, look, back up, homie, before you get in trouble because we're strong men. We don't like you talking to us like that." And Micah, as a regular person, he can't do nothing about it. And then the Danites go and take away, which is the Most High's judgment, all of his spiritual objects and the Levite that was with him. You can read in chapter 18 and verse 17.
Judges chapter 18 and verse 17. And the 5 men that went to spy out the land went up and came in thither and took the graven image and the ephod and the teraphim and the molten image. And the priests stood in the entering of the gate with the 600 men that were appointed with weapons of war.
So yeah, these are the Danites, the 5. This is the 5 spies with the 600 men. Those were the Danites that took Micah's household objects and items. You read on.
Verse 18. And these went into Micah's house and fetched the carved image, the ephod, and the teraphim, and the molten image, that said the priest unto them, What do ye? And they said unto him, Hold thy peace, lay thine hand upon thy mouth, and go with us, and be to us a father and a priest. Is it better for thee to be a priest unto the house of one man, or that thou be a priest unto a tribe and a family in Israel?
So that's how the Danites, pull in the Levite to do what they want to do with him for their tribe rather than that one single household. And then just to prove the point that these were some valorous men, some mighty men, you could read from verse 24 and 25.
Verse 24. And he said, Ye have taken away my gods which I made, and the priests, and ye are gone away. And what have I more? And what is that day? And what is that? And what is this that ye say unto me? What aligheth thee? And the children of Dan said unto him, Let not thy voice be heard among us, lest angry fellows run upon thee, and thou lose thy life with the lives of thy household.
So that's the tribe of Dan strong-arming this particular man so that they can do what they want to do, was right in their own eyes. You can read verse 30.
Verse 30. And the children of Dan set up the graven image, and Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, and he and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land.
So that's all the way in the book of 2 Kings chapter 17, if you guys didn't know that. That's how long that these Danites were caught up in essentially gross idolatry and blatant spiritual offense to serving the Most High the way that he wants. That's how long they've been on that tip. So now you can read chapter 19 and verse 1.
Judges chapter 19, verse 1. And it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning on the side of the Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah. And his concubine played the whore against him, and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months. And her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her, and to bring her again, having his servant with him, and a couple of asses, and she brought him into her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him.
Okay. So now this is pretty lengthy in words too, so I'm going to summarize it for y'all. At this particular point in time, leading up to the battle to be, there's a Levite that's also traveling and sojourning. He's got a concubine with him, and they're moving around, and they find somebody that allows them to lodge with them within the tribal allotment of the tribe of Benjamin. So this Levite is now in a particular city region of the tribe of Benjamin, and he's staying with this man for days on end, days on end. Like the hospitality and the charity that this man offers to the Levite is like unspeakable. For 3 or 4 days, this Levite's like, I gotta go. And the man is like, nah, just stay, like, stay longer. You can leave in the morning. And the Levite listens, and he does that for like 3 days. But on the 4th day, he's kind of just like, nah, man, really, I gotta go. And the man within the regional tribe of Benjamin still is trying to tell him, like, stay, this company is cool. But the Levite's finally like, no, I really seriously need to go. And they're like, okay, look, go for sure in the morning, but don't leave at night. That's what the man within the tribal allotment of Benjamin finally tells his Levites, like, go in the morning, for sure. Just don't leave at night, because the people here at night, they're into doing some weird, wicked, evil stuff, so just leave in the morning. Now, go to chapter 19 and read from verse 22.
Judges chapter 19, verse 22. Now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about, and beat at the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him.
So this is very similar to the story of what happened within Sodom and Gomorrah. The people of the city wanted the guests that were there. I guess that's how they introduce or they initiate people within their territory, the region. They want to initiate people by essentially gang raping them. That's what they wanted to do to this particular man and his household. And the old man that's used to living there, he's basically the same way as Lot had told the men of Sodom. He's like, man, don't do so wickedly with this. Here, take, you could use, the man in Sodom was like, use my daughter. And the man in the region of Benjamin is like, take this concubine. So they actually accept that, and they gang rape and abuse this concubine of the Levite all the rest of the night, to the point to where she dies, so you can only imagine what it would take to actually do those acts to kill somebody. There are just things that you should not be doing when it comes to that. So she dies, and the Levite's like, come on, get up, let's go. But she's dead. And now he's like, man, what just happened right now over this night? This is some wicked stuff. This needs to be known. Like, there's too much anarchy going along in Israel now. So then something's got to get done about this. So this particular Levite, now with his dead concubine, due to the evil and wicked inhabitants of Benjamin, at least in that region, but they all at that time were kind of evil, he cuts up his concubine into 12 parts, for all the 12 tribes to see and to witness what they had done, so that judgment can come. Like we can't just allow this to happen. Judgment needs to happen to these people in the city, because they're evil. It says they're sons of Belial. That means sons of wickedness, essentially. You can read verse 30 in chapter 19.
Judges chapter 19, verse 30. And it was so that all that saw it said, there was no such deed done nor seen from the day that the children of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt unto this day. Consider of it, take advice, and speak your minds.
Read verse 20 and 21. 20 and 1.
Judges chapter 20, verse 1. Then all the children of Israel went out, and the congregation was gathered together as one man. From Dan even to Beersheba with the land of Gilead unto the Lord in Mizpah.
So what's going on now is the tribes of all the tribes of Israel basically agreed, like, yeah, we can't allow this to go down. Like, these people need to get judged. This is something, even though we all on some bunk stuff, we can't allow this. We can't allow this to go down. You know, a whole city got destroyed for a similar act. We got to actually do something, because the Most High is probably not going to be with us if we don't judge this correctly, which is essentially death. As eye for an eye, this woman was put to death. These people need to get put to death. So all the tribes of Israel are gathered together now, all 12, well, all 11 rather, except the tribe of Benjamin, and they're now going to the tribal heads of Benjamin, being like, hey, you need to bring out the men of that particular city that did this deed so that we can put them to death, because that's an evil act. We cannot have this living amongst our nation. But the tribe of Benjamin is crazy, because when I believe it was Moses or it was Joseph. I believe it was not Joseph. It was Jacob. Excuse me, Jacob. When Jacob had blessed his sons, all of them got particular prophecies, pretty much. They got, okay, look, this is how it's going to be down with you. When it came down to Benjamin, it says, you know, Benjamin's going to raven as a wolf. You know, they're going to be really, as you know, wolves, they're a pack animal. They're really unified. They stand together, you know, for whatever it is. That was the tribe of Benjamin's spiritual prophecy about how they would operate, you know, as a tribe and as a people, you know, within the people. And then also, you know, that prophecy was, you know, he's going to raven as a wolf, but, you know, he's going to bring the spoil, you know, to his people, stuff like that. So in this instance, the whole tribe of Benjamin is looking out for their own, even though they know that the wickedness that happened with these particular men of Benjamin in this city was evil. The whole tribe of Benjamin is kind of just like, you're not getting them. We're not going to give them up to y'all. Like, this is, you know, these are our affairs. These are our business. We're going to handle it as we handle it, not as essentially, you know, how America has the federal government in the 50 states. The 11 tribes were like, we need to institute a federal law against, you know, a federal execution with this. This is not a personal matter. This is not a state matter. We have all come together to judge that this is unrighteous. But the tribe of Benjamin was not with the federal, not with the national aspect. They're like, fight us then, because we're not about to give up the inhabitants. So the children of Israel are like, bet, yeah, we're going to fight up against you. And we'll probably get up briefly with those scriptures. But for a couple of those battles fighting against the children of Benjamin, they were not winning. You know, they lost for a cool minute. Every tribe that the Most High sent up against them, Judah in particular, and the other tribes. But the Benjamites were knocking bones for a cool minute. Go to chapter 20 and read verse 21.
Judges chapter 20, verse 21. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah and destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 22,000 men. And the people, the men of Israel, encouraged themselves and set their battle again in array in the place where they put themselves in array the first day.
So that was the first day. First day battle, they lost against the Benjamites. Read verse 25.
Verse 25. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day, and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel again 18,000 men. All these drew the sword. Then all the children of Israel and all the people went up and came unto the house of God and wept, and sat there before the Lord, and fasted that day until even, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord.
So these 2 days and these 2 attempts, the children of Benjamin, like I said, they were beating up on the rest of the children of Israel. And the only spiritual insight I can get on that is because the rest of the children of Israel were just as, not equally, but just as much on some BS as they've been throughout the whole book of Judges, and doing things that are right in their own eyes. So, of course, the Most High is going to in the midst of taking care of this business, they finally said, okay, we got to take care of. The Most High is, you know, judging the rest of Israel as well, too. So the Most High is killing the other tribal members, as well as preparing for eventually, okay, I'm going to allow you to finally judge this tribe of Benjamin, which happens right here. Read verse 31.
Verse 31. And the children of Benjamin went out against the people, and were drawn away from the city. And they began to smite of the people, and kill, as at other times in the highways, of which one goeth up to the house of God, and the other to Gibeah in the field, about 30 men of Israel. And the children of Benjamin said, They are smitten down before us, as at the first. But the children of Israel said, Let us flee, and draw them from the city unto the highways. And all the men of Israel rose up out of their place, and put themselves in array at Baal Tamar. And the liers in wait of Israel came forth out of their places, even out of the meadows of Gibeah. And there came against Gibeah 10,000 chosen men out of all Israel. And the battle was sore, but they knew not that evil was near them. And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed of the Benjamites that day 25,100 men. All these drew the sword.
So that was the third time the Most High's like, okay, look, I've finally given the children of Benjamin into your hand. I've done what I want to do with y'all, and now I'm going to use y'all to do what I want you to do for me again, but with the tribe of Benjamin. So Benjamin loses 20, it says 20,500 men. Benjamin is pretty much one of the smallest tribes in Israel. You could look at a map. They have one of the smallest land allotments within the whole territory. So they're not too numerous. So that 20,500, that basically almost made that whole tribe go extinct at this point in time. So it's crazy. It's crazy I guess you would say the love and war aspect. But as soon as that war was over, our people, our forefathers, were still feeling sorry for the tribe of Benjamin, which is not unrighteous, because they were basically saying, dang, this day we're about to lose a whole tribe. We're about to lose one of the 12 tribes, one of our forefathers' 12 sons. They're thinking, like, this son is about to be completely cut off because of this battle that he just wouldn't, submit to. So they're, feeling the type of way. And then some of the elders of the tribes are basically looking like, look, this is what we're going to do. So that a tribe does not disappear from Israel, we're going to go find them wives. We're going to go find them wives, concubines, even, so that they can repopulate themselves, because the majority or the leftovers from the battle, and definitely read the battles yourselves too, because you could definitely get some military techniques, how we would, do battles back then. And even today, that would be useful. But these Benjamites, basically, they went to go hide out within the caves of the mountains, like the few hundreds of them that were left. So the rest of the tribes of Israel are kind of like, okay, we need to figure out a solution so that our tribe does not get destroyed out of Israel. Go to chapter 21 and read from verse 12.
Judges chapter 21, verse 12. And they found among the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead 400 young virgins that had known no man be lying with any male. And they brought them unto the camp to Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. And the whole congregation sent some to speak to the children of Benjamin that were in the rock of Rimmon, and to call peaceably unto them. And Benjamin came again at that time, and they gave them wives, which they have saved alive of the woman of Jabesh Gilead, and yet so they sufficed them not. And the people repented them for Benjamin, because that the Lord had made a breach in the tribes of Israel. Then the elders of the congregation said, How shall we do for wives for them that remain, seeing the women are destroyed out of Benjamin? And they said, There must be an inheritance for them that be escaped of Benjamin, that a tribe be not destroyed out of Israel.
So at the end of the day, as the Most High is merciful and equally wrathful, and that mercy abiding in love. The same with the children of Israel. They were still kind of like, not kind of like, the children of Israel were still like, let's not completely cut off the stump of one of the tribes of Israel. We need to get them repopulated. They need to come back, just better this time, you know, and a better generation. So that's why they found them wives to go repopulate, and that was the mercy and the blessing through the Most High, through the rest of those tribes of Israel for Benjamin. You could jump down and read 23 to the end.
Verse 23, and the children of Benjamin did so, and took them wives, according to their number of them that danced, whom they caught. And they went and returned unto their inheritance, and repaired the cities, and dwelt in them. And the children of Israel departed thence at that time, every man to his tribe and to his family. And they went out from thence, every man to his inheritance. In those days there was no king in Israel. Every man did that which was right in his own eyes.
And for those of y'all that read along, you know that was the last scripture within the book of Judges. So yeah, the book of Judges, man, a very heavy book when you have eyes to see it, you know, but a very, you know, blueprinted, you know, time period book as well too. So much history, so many years, and so many captivities happened during this time period, man, because of our, I guess you can call it ADD, our lack of attention to keep the Most High God's commandments. That's what kept putting us in these predicaments. And the Most High, you know, whoop us, you know, bind us back up. And they get whooped again and bind us back up. That's, you know, all throughout this book. And that's low-key all throughout the rest of the books, just in not as a bird's eye view in the rest of these scriptures. That's low-key what we're doing still, again, today, both as congregations, as bodies, and as peoples and individuals. So we got to just maintain that focus. We got to get out of that, you know, ADD, keep that right. What does that scripture say in the New Testament? So it's like the narrow path. We got to keep on that narrow path by focusing on the Most High, giving him his honor and praises due, so that we can keep our mindsates, you know, keep our mindsates focused on what pleases him, you know, and what pleases him, ultimately, when you practice it enough, will please you, because it just makes sense at the end of the day. It's the Most High's system of protection. His system of protection is a system of eternal life. That's what we gotta come back to appreciating and understanding, so that we can get out of the cycle that our people experience, you know, in the book of Judges, you know. So, without having too much more to say to that, that is part two. That is part two to the book of Judges. Hopefully, again, my summaries, my narration, it's on point for you guys. If there's anything that you don't seem, that doesn't feel like it was right, go re-verify, read the scriptures for yourselves. It'll definitely take some time, but I'm, you know, paraphrasing and wording and putting some color and some funk to it from the modern day to what it was back then. I'm not doing nothing different, nothing special. We're just trying to make it understandable for us all. So I hope you guys did enjoy that. I hope you guys continue to stay tuned to all the lessons that we do here throughout the week, myself included, and let us know. Give a shout out to my reader here, Natazat, because he's going to keep growing in the faith, growing in the truth, and growing in the works, and growing in his skill as well, too, you guys. So have a good night. Stay blessed. Be safe. Get home safe. Stay home safe. And shalom.
Shalom.